Hey everyone, Brandon here, and welcome to the announcement video for the Nova P600c. That's right, the moment you've been waiting for is finally here. The bigger brother to the Nova P300c and the next light in the Nova lineup. Is twice as bright as the Nova P300c, has 4 times as much color control because of the 4-pixel zone control, and even has lumen radio CRMX built in to this 2x1 form factor that everyone is super familiar with. Before we move on, please make sure to mention where you're watching from and any questions you have in the comments below, because Rob, Ian, and myself and other members of the A-team will be answering questions live and in real time in the Premiere video chat. So without further ado, let's roll the highlight reel. So that was the Nova P600c, the new flagship in the Nova lineup. So let's start with an overview of what we're looking at with this light. This light is a 600 watt RGB WW LED soft light that still packs an immense punch. So at 3 meters at 5600 Kelvin, you're able to achieve 2167 lux, or at 3200 Kelvin, 1936 lux, all in a 2x1 soft light form factor. Of course, like the Nova P300c, it also has 0 to 100% stepless dimming control in a 2000 to 10,000 Kelvin variable color temperature range. This light is also the first Nova panel to feature lumen radio CRMX inside the light itself without having the need for any accessories. It also has a removable diffusion panel, curved disc brake locking yoke, and a junior pin, in addition to a new feature in the extendable control box. So let's get into one of the most important things that everyone's been asking for, the photometrics of the light. How color accurate is the light, and how bright is the P600c? So let's start off with the color science. Like the Nova P300c, it has super high TLCI scores and CRI scores of 95+, and an SSI score in D56 daylight of 74, and an SSI in tungsten of 84. This means it recreates tungsten and daylight exceptionally well, like other Aputure fixtures, and performs very well when compared to other lights on the market. But color accuracy with Aputure lights is a given. How bright is the Nova P600c? Like before, we said the light is twice as bright as the Nova P300c. So for reference again, the Nova P300c, which is a 300 watt RGB WW LED panel, scores 960 lux at 3 meters at 3200 Kelvin, or 1100 lux at 5600 Kelvin. And the Nova P600c is pretty much exactly twice that. At 3200 Kelvin, the P600c at 3 meters measures 1936 lux, and at 5600 Kelvin measures 2167 lux. That means that in tungsten, it's actually more than twice as bright as the P300c, and in daylight, it's pretty much twice the brightness of the P300c. But that just references our own lights. How does it compare against other industry standard lights? The Light Panels Gemini at 3200 Kelvin measures at 906 lux, and 5600 Kelvin at 1079 lux. This means the P600c is more than twice as bright as the Gemini 2x1 in tungsten, and roughly twice the brightness of the 2x1 in daylight. And now let's talk about the most prolific 2x1 panel on the market, the Airy Sky Panel S60C. At 3200 Kelvin and 3 meters, the S60C measures with its standard diffusion at a lux of 1258. And with 5600 degrees Kelvin, you're getting 1233 lux at 3 meters. At 3200 Kelvin, the Nova P600c is more than 50% brighter than the S60C, and at 5600 Kelvin, the Nova P600c is about 75% brighter than the Airy S60C Sky Panel. And this is because of the RGB-WW chipset that is found in the Nova P600c compared to the RGB-W chipset that is found in the Airy S60C. And of course, the last light in the lineup is the Rhodolite Titan X2. At 3200 Kelvin and at full diffusion, the Rhodolite Titan X2 measures in at 1320 lux, and at 5600 Kelvin, it measures at 929 lux. This means, again, the Nova P600c at 3200 Kelvin is about 40 to 50% brighter than the Titan X2, and in daylight 5600 Kelvin, the Nova P600c is more than twice as bright as the Titan X2 with its full diffusion. So that's how the Nova P600C stacks up against other 2x1 RGB soft panels that are in the film industry. But how does it stack up against them when it comes to its size and weight? We'll talk about that in this next chapter, the build and the design of the P600C. The P600C is designed and built in much of the same way as the Nova P300C. Anyone who has seen or owned one of these lights will see a very reminiscent design when it comes to the shape of the light. But the P600C also has a few significant upgrades, including a dual tilt lock system. The P600C has disc brakes on either side of the light, not only to support the heavier load of the power supply being built into the lamp head, but also to support the load of large modifiers that you might place on top of the panel, such as a 5-foot octabox or a 7-foot octabox with a grid. All that weight can make the light very front heavy, and this dual tilt lock system is meant to keep the light rigid and in place despite whatever modifiers you might have on it. The P600C is also built with a curved yoke like the LS600D Pro and the LS600X Pro in order to give the light more maneuverability when you put modifiers on top of the fixture. It's often a problem when you have a 2x1 LED panel with a straight yoke and a modifier that you can't tilt the light far enough down to face your subject. With a curved yoke, you achieve more maneuverability and more tilting range even if you have a softbox mounted onto the front of the fixture. Due to the size and weight of the Nova P600C, it also features a full-size junior pin, unlike the dual junior baby pin of the Nova P300C. Its weight makes it unsuitable for C stands and baby stands, so we gave it a junior pin so you can put it into full-size junior combo stands to really support the weight of the light. And by popular request, the P600C also features a removable diffusion panel. All you have to do is loosen the 4 thumb screws on the top of the light and the diffusion panel slides out very easily. This makes it much easier to maintain the light and also get a little bit more output when you need it. Let's talk about how its diffusion area, or its panel aperture, compares against other industry standard lights. A light's aperture is basically defined as the surface area of its light emitting source. So for a soft panel like this, its light emitting source is the entire area of its diffusion panel. So the Gemini 2x1 has a diffusion area of about 261 square inches, whereas the Sky Panel and Titan X2 have a diffusion area of roughly 300 square inches. The aperture of the Nova P600C comes in at about 250 square inches, making it the most compact of all these 2x1 form factor panels while still being the brightest of all of them by a significant margin. And in addition to being brighter and more compact, it is one of the more lightweight options. The Gemini 2x1 is the lightest weight of all these panels, coming in at 10.1 kilograms because of its largely plastic build. The Titan X2 and Sky Panel S60C come in significantly heavier because you also have to factor in the weight of its power supply into the weight of the entire system. So the Titan X2 comes in at 17.15 kilograms, or about 38 pounds for the entire system, and for the lamp head itself, it's roughly 13.6 kilograms. The Sky Panel S60C comes in at a total system weight of 16.28 kilograms, with the lamp head being roughly 13 kilograms. With its 720 watt power supply built into the lamp head, the Nova P600C comes in relatively lightweight compared to these other fixtures, with a total system weight of 13.74 kilograms, or roughly 30 pounds. Again, this is with the power supply built into the lamp head, unlike the Titan X2 and the Sky Panel S60C. And with a larger power supply than the Gemini 2x1, which allows it to give pretty much twice as much output as that fixture. So with everything we've put into the Nova P600C, including its 600 watt LED engine and 720 watt power supply, the amount of output you get for its size and weight is completely unmatched by any other 2x1 soft panel on the market. So now with all of our comparisons to other industry standards out of the way, let's talk more specifically about the P600C and how it relates to the interfacing controls of the P300C and where it's different, because that's where it's really special. If you've used the Nova P300C, you'll find the Nova P600C's interface pretty much identical, with its head cable port, power button, OLED display, 5-pin XLR in and out, 3 control knobs, light mode button, menu button, and 4 user configurable presets. But there's some other new magic that's built into the P600C control box that we'll get into in just a little bit. With the P600C, when it comes to control methods, of course you have your onboard controls, allowing you to control everything from XY, HSI, RGB onboard and on the control box itself. And with the P600C, of course, we have Sidus Link built in, which means that you can control the P600C alongside the P300C, Aputure MC, and pretty much the entire Aputure family from your smartphone or tablet using the Sidus Link app. All of the lights connect to each other via a mesh network, making the signal stronger and making your network more stable. Then you have the 5-pin XLR DMX512 inputs and outputs on the bottom of the control box, allowing you to hardwire the unit to your console. And lastly, the newest addition to the control methods for the Nova lineup is Lumen Radio CRMX or Wireless DMX, which allows the P600C to elegantly integrate into your on-set workflow, whether you're using an iPad app like Luminaire or Blackout or using a full-size console. And with the integration of Lumen Radio CRMX into the control box, you're actually able to control the P600C completely cable-free and wire-free. And that's because the control box of the Nova P600C has contact pins built into its lightning clamp quick release plate, meaning you can mount it onto the P600C lamp head and it will instantly start communicating with the control box. And like with the P300C, if you would like the control box closer to you while the lamp head is further away, we include a 3-meter head cable to connect the lamp head to the control box so you can still operate it remotely. And like we said before, if you want a completely cable-free setup, you don't have to use Lumen Radio. You can of course use the built-in Sidus Link app integration with the P600C using our entire Sidus Link ecosystem. The P600C also has a completely updated DMX interface when compared to the Nova P300C, with 28 and counting DMX profiles including 8-bit and 16-bit controls, and of course individual control for each of the panels on the light. And like with the LS600X Pro, the Nova P600C will feature 4 different types of DMX loss behavior. This means that whenever you lose your DMX signal, whether it's Lumen Radio or hardwired DMX, you get to choose how your light reacts. You can set it so that the light will instantly black out, it will fade to black over 60 seconds, maintain the last settings, or hold the last settings for 2 minutes before fading out over 60 seconds, which is important for live events so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of your lighting workflow. The P600C is also the first Aputure light to feature any sort of pixel control with 4 zones of lighting control. All of these zones are independently controllable via DMX or can be activated in one of our lighting effects, such as color cycle like it's on right now. And if you're using an effect like fire, each of the panels will react at a different rate, allowing for a much more natural look. With the introduction of these 4 zones, we're also introducing 4 new lighting effects built into the light, including color fade, color cycle, color gradient, and 1 color chase. The Nova P600C also features 2 output modes, just like the LS300X and LS600X Pro. Constant output mode forces the light to maintain a constant illuminance regardless of your CCT settings, whereas max output mode will output the most amount of light possible given your CCT value. The P600C is also the first Aputure light to feature lead follow mode. With lead follow mode, you can connect multiple lights via DMX even without a DMX controller, and all the follower lights will match the settings of the leader. This makes it really easy to manage multiple lights on set if you don't want to have to deal with an app or a DMX setup. And as a full color RGB WW panel, the P600C of course features modes like RGB control and XY control. And in HSI control, you can now actually change the value of your saturated white point, meaning as you're desaturating to white, you can actually desaturate to a different color than D65, such as 3200 Kelvin or any value between 2000 Kelvin and 10,000 Kelvin. And if you don't want the more granular control of HSI mode or XY mode, you can of course use our source presets or our gel presets. The P600C features over 300 gels in its gels library built into the control box. And if you're shooting in high speed, the P600C also features frequency selection like the P300C and the LS600X Pro, allowing you to adjust the PWM frequency from between 20 kHz and 22 kHz. When it comes to power solutions for the Nova P600C, it's fairly straightforward. You have your AC power input using the Neutrik locking cable on the right, and of course you have your 48-volt DC input, just like you have with the LS600D Pro and the LS600X Pro. Because its LED engine can output up to 600 watts of light, its power supply can draw up to 720 watts of power, just like with the 600X Pro and the 600D Pro. This means that when you're using a 3-pin XLR power source, you want to be able to supply up to 15 amps of continuous discharge, or 720 watts of power, at 48 volts. And last but not least, what are the accessories that are compatible with the Nova P600C? Because despite being a 2x1 soft panel, you still want to be able to soften the light more or control the light. Alongside the P600C, we're going to be announcing a softbox, barn doors, a space light accessory, 3 types of honeycomb grids, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees, an intensifier panel which narrows the beam angle and increases the output of the light, a dual panel frame which allows you to stack 2 P600Cs on top of each other for a total of 1200 watts of light output, a studio yoke, and of course a rain cover for inclement weather conditions. But we're not the only company to be releasing accessories for this light. Our partners at Chimera are also releasing 3 modifiers, including a small pop bank, which measures at 24 by 29 inches, a medium light bank, which measures at 35 by 46 inches, which is basically a 3 by 4 light bank, and even an Octa 5, which is a 5-foot octabox, which given the P600C's 600 watt light output should give you a very bright, very soft light. The P600C is also compatible with the same rabbit ears modifier as the P300C, meaning you can use all of DOP Choice's snapbags made for the rabbit ear system, including the snapback Octa 3, Octa 5, Octa 7, the medium rectangular snapback, and the Lantern 3 and 5. That isn't to say that they won't come out with more accessories, but right off the bat, you're able to use the same accessories as the P300C and the rabbit ears adapter. And now for the question you've been wondering the entire presentation: what is the pricing and availability of the Nova P600C? Well, the P600c without a hardshell rolling case is going to come in at $3,290, while the version with the hardshell rolling case is going to come in at $3,590. So get ready and pre-order your lights right away. The lights are available for pre-order now through us and authorized dealers, and we expect to be shipping the light in Q4 of 2021. And if you'd like to see these lights in person, the Aputure team will also be at Cine Year LA, so be sure to come by the booth and say hello and play around with some of the new lights and some of the secrets that I can't announce just quite yet. And for Sidus Link, we're also giving away MC4 Light travel kits, so be sure to visit the Sidus Link social media on Facebook and Instagram to find out more information. And if you want to join the conversation and give feedback on our future lights, like all the contributions that made the Nova P600c possible, be sure to join the Aputure user groups. You can find them in the description below. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the announcement of the Nova P600c. We're going to be announcing and releasing a lot of new products in this next month, so be sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.